This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes. Let's go ahead and open up that waiting room. Let people in. Hello, welcome, everybody. And folks, if you're watching us on one of the live streams or out on a platform at a time other than the live time, and you'd like to join us live, we are here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern. And if you're in South Africa, is that SAST? I think it is 9 to 10 p.m. down in South Africa. So folks, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're here live with us, you want to make sure that you have that chat open, as we have the amazing fingers, also known as Marilyn, putting information into the chat to help you take notes. My name is Becca Dukes. I am a certified holistic health coach. I'm a certified naturopathic practitioner. I'm also the director of student services for the Institute of Holistic Health. I am a health advocate, and it's more than just being an advocate for somebody else, folks. It's time to be an advocate for ourselves. So if somebody referred you to this program, make sure that you get back with them, as they cared enough about you to take the time to share this program, and tell them thank you. Also, if you have more questions about what you hear on this program or any of our programs, because I hope that you've subscribed, whatever platform you're watching on or listening to, I hope you have subscribed to us. Make sure you give us a thumbs up or some love, and put some comments in the chat if chat comments are available. We want to know who you are, where you're at, and may even have a giveaway today. Just saying. So make sure that you are active here live with us and also out on the different platforms. Now, today is a little bit different. Here on Daily with Doc and Becca, today it's Becca. That's me, folks. So thank you so much for coming with us, as we're going to be talking about our food. Now, we can read labels, but we're going to go a little bit deeper into reading labels. So are we ready? I think we've got volume out on all the different platforms, people in here. And yes, if you have questions and there's time, we will take questions at the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and yes, here we go. So folks, thank you again so much for joining us, as we're going to be talking about what's in your food. So this is a naturopathic approach to food choices. Now, as we're looking at a packaged food, a labeled food, there's a nutritional panel, right? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that panel, but more importantly, I'm going to be talking about what to look for. So why should we read labels? That's a great question, isn't it? So do you really know what to look for? Now, a naturopathic approach focuses on the quality and source of ingredients. So think of it as like a recipe. You want to see whole foods, recognizable foods and words like beef, chicken, salmon, rice, almonds, apples at the top of the ingredients list and not chemical sounding names. So the first three ingredients, folks, of what's in that ingredients list make up the bulk of the product. So if you see sugar, processed oils here, that is a red flag. So, okay, where do we start? Well, first we've got to be educated. There's marketing tactics that we want to make sure that we steer clear of, because there are a lot of things that are said that makes it sound like it's healthy. We also want to go, as we're going into the store, we want to stay on the outside of the store. That's where most of the whole foods, the unprocessed foods are. The inner aisles, well, that's where all the boxed food is, the prepared food, even on the inside, you've even got some of the frozen food of things that are ready to just pop into that thing they call a microwave, heat up and go. But are you looking at the labels of that one, even if it says it's a healthier choice? And we need to know the difference between good foods and bad foods. Good foods and bad foods, what are those? Well, folks, I have here on the screen, I have a QR code that will take you right to the Daily with Doc website, where we have Dr. Wallach's good foods, bad foods list that you can use as a guide. So here's the question of the hour. You know, they say, read the label. Well, what's more important, the ingredients list or the nutritional facts panel? Well, it's actually the ingredients list. That's more important than the nutritional facts panel. So the ingredients are listed in the order in which they are most abundant in the product. Okay, so this is mostly if we're looking at something that has a nutritional panel. And so the first three things, again, are going to be what's most abundant in that product. So we're looking for whole, recognizable foods, folks. We got to make sure that's at the top of the list. So why not the nutritional facts panel? Well, here's a couple things. Trans fat. You know what trans fat is? Well, this is one of the reasons why you want to look at the ingredients list instead of in the nutritional panel, because the nutritional panel is not going to tell you how much trans fat may be in that product. So the USDA, or the United States Food and Drug Administration, their labeling regulates for trans fat. But did you know that it could have 0.5 grams and they can say it's no trans fat? So while you're looking at the nutritional panel, and even though it says 0 grams of trans fat per serving, that product can still contain a small amount of trans fat. And trans fat, when you have a small amount here, small amount there, small amount everywhere, leads up to a lot of artificial trans fat, even a small amount, folks. Okay, so you're looking for that ingredient that says partially hydrogenated oil. That's trans fat. And this phrase is going to be a key signal for you that the trans fats are present, regardless of what the nutritional panel says. Okay. Next, nutritional decline. For those of you who've been listening to Dr. Wallach for some time, you'll know that there is a Senate bill that was written back in the 1930s that noted there was a decline in the minerals within the soil that our food is being grown in. So we've got to be mindful of that. With the different raw ingredients to make these, there's a great possibility that it does have less nutritional density. Okay. And like I said, there's been decline. And if it was declined back in the 1930s, think what has happened over the last, what would it be, 70, 90 years, as we are growing more and more. This means that even if a processed food starts out with a supposedly healthy ingredient like corn, wheat, potatoes, the mineral content of the raw ingredients is actually lower than it has been in the past. So we want to make sure that we're taking note of that. Especially those processed foods that have or that contain partially hydrogenated oils. Okay, that creates a double burden for the nutrition, for the nutrient poor and potentially unhealthy diet. So how could food decline in nutritional value? Well, let's look at the intense farming practices. With a modern industrial agriculture, it often relies on mono growing. Okay, that means that you're growing the same crop in the same land year after year. This depletes the soil of specific nutrients, specifically minerals. As Dr. Wallach says, minerals are like gold and silver. They occur in veins around the earth. It's not all on top. It's not abundant as a solid sheet of minerals. They're spotty. So if you're growing the same thing in the same soil and it requires the same nutrients to grow and be productive, it's going to be taking those minerals out of the soil and they don't come back by themselves. Synthetic fertilizers. So these fertilizers are designed to provide the three primary nutrients for plant growth. What are they? Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But they don't replenish the full spectrum. Can I have somebody double check to make sure everybody's muted, please? That full spectrum doesn't include just the macronutrients, but also the micronutrients of minerals and elements that are essential for human health. Okay. And then there's soil erosion and degradation. With poor land management, practices can lead to the loss of nutrient-rich topsoil, which washes away or is blown away by wind, further reducing the mineral content of the soil. So for those of you who live in Arizona and you get the haboobs, yeah, that's the soil moving and minerals are in there too. So let's talk about what to avoid. The dirty dozen of additives. Has anybody heard of that? The dirty dozen of additives? These are things that are common additives that are added to food that have no nutritional value, and they may be harmful. So this includes genetically modified organisms. So let's go through a list of the most common ones. So we have high fructose corn syrup. You can also say corn syrup. They've gotten to where they don't have to say high fructose corn syrup, but it still has the same effect as a highly processed sweetener linked to inflammation and mental issues. Partially hydrogenated oils, trans fats. These fats can increase the bad cholesterol linked to heart disease, folks. So if you're using a lot of trans fats, which when you're heating oils, And frying food creates more trans fat, which then is what's causing high cholesterol. That is dangerous to the heart. Sodium nitrate and nitrite. So these are used in processing meats, and they can be a form of cancer-causing compounds. Butylate hydroxyanisole, sorry, BHA or BHT. So these preservatives are considered endocrine disruptors. So we have had Joanna Capelli. She was on with us not too long ago as we're talking about things that are toxic to our vitamins, to our bodies. She mentioned endocrine disruptors. Dr. Joanne Conaway, she talks about endocrine disruptors. And folks, they put them in the food. It's not something that needs to be there. Even though it's a preservative to make it last a long time on the shelves, it is not good for your body. Next, artificial sweeteners. So there's a lot of sweeteners on the market, folks, but some of the top 3 that can alter our gut bacteria and lead to negative effects. Also, some of them containing cancer-causing components, aspartame or aspartame, depending on what part of the client or country world you're in, sucralose and saccharin. And then we get into those artificial dyes and colors like red 40, yellow 5, blue 1, often made from petroleum, and they have been linked to behavioral issues in children and adults. Monosodium glutamate, MSG, it's a flavor enhancer that can cause headaches and other reactions in some people. Some people are very sensitive to MSG, where it actually affects the heart and can create irregular heartbeat. Something to think about if that's something you're experiencing and you don't have a back or neck issue. Look at your foods. Potassium bromate. It's used to strengthen dough, and it is a potential carcinogen. So folks, especially those baked goods that you're purchasing, read those labels. We also have potassium sorbate. That's also a preservative that can actually cause allergic reactions in some individuals. So if you're eating certain foods and you all of a sudden break out in a rash, or even worse, your throat starts closing up, you're having an allergic reaction, it may be the preservative that's in the food. Now, carrageenan, and I know I said that wrong. It is a thickening agent that has also been linked to gut inflammation. So folks, if you're experiencing gut issues, read your labels, especially the ingredients list. And sulfites, found in many processed foods, including wine, that can trigger allergic reactions and asthma symptoms. Hidden sugars. So, as we all know, especially in the United States, I think, we've got a sugar addiction. And it's not just the word sugar. So there's lots of things that are hidden sugars that go by different names. So the common alias, of course, for sugar, you've got dextrose, maltose, corn syrup, agave nectar, and anything ending in OSE. They are high sugar contents that may contribute to inflammation and other health issues. High fructose corn syrup. It's a highly processed sweetener linked to inflammation and metabolic issues. Then you get the artificial sweeteners. Once again, aspartame, sucralose, saccharin. They can alter the gut bacteria and may have other negative health effects. Can you notice kind of a trend here? And yes, I put the artificial sweeteners in there again because they are so abundant and there are so many people suffering from gut issues, digestive issues, so many different diseases that are given names based on certain symptoms of a digestive issue. It's a digestive issue. And then, of course, keep a lookout for those OSEs. The goal is to limit the overall added sugar intake, to reduce inflammation, and to stabilize our blood sugar. Now, not only do we got to look at the ingredients, but we also have to be wary of the misleading marketing practices, as some things are marked as natural or all natural. This is one of the least common or the most common and least regulated terms according to the FDA, Food Drug Administration. Natural simply means that the food does not contain any artificial or synthetic ingredients, including color additives. It does not mean that the food is organic, non-GMO, minimally processed, or free of pesticides or hormones. Like a soda, it's loaded with sugar and can be labeled natural if it uses cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. And then made with real fruits. So this is often a red flag for a food with a high sugar content. It means that somewhere in the ingredients, there's a small, often highly processed amount of real fruit. So it doesn't mean that it's all real fruit. It's just made with real fruit. The rest of the product is likely made up of various forms of sugar or other additives. So you think, oh, it's made with real fruit. Let's get it. Read that label, folks. What else is in that food? Multi-grain or made with whole grains. Okay, so this is another one that is highly misleading. Multi-grain simply means that the product contains more than one type of grain, but it does not specify if any of them are whole grains. Made with whole grains can be true, even if the product contains only a tiny amount of whole grains mixed with mostly refined white flour. Again, similar to real fruit. It's in there somewhere, but that doesn't mean that's the primary part of the ingredients. So, they say to look that you're getting true whole grain products and to look at the label. As you all know, Dr. Wallach says no gluten, no wheat, no barley, no rye, no oats, even if it says gluten-free. And we're going to be going into why in just a moment. So I should have completely left off that whole 100% whole wheat or whole grain, because there's so many different grains, and we're going to find out why we want to avoid them in just a moment. Sugar-free or fat-free. So these labels they seem promising, but they also come with a trade-off. To compensate for lots of flavor and texture from fat or sugar, manufacturers will typically add other ingredients. Sugar-free products have artificial sweeteners. What did we already say about those 3 top artificial sweeteners? Fat-free products may contain a lot of added sugar to make them taste good. So we want to stay away from sugar-free or fat-free, just looking at the label. Read those ingredients. If it's low in sugar or low in fat because it's a whole food, great. It doesn't have those added things added to it that can actually be detrimental to our health. Okay, GMO. So this is a big controversy. What is GMO? So GMO stands for genetically modified organisms. A GMO is a plant or animal or microorganism which the genetic material, the DNA, has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally. This is done through a process called genetic engineering, which allows for the transfer of specific genes from one organism to another to achieve a desired trait, such as pest resistance or herbicide tolerance. Okay, what does that mean in short? They can genetically modify a seed that will then allow them to spray pesticides and herbicides without harming the visual effects of the plant. How's that one? So what's the big deal about GMOs, folks? Well, it's a novel protein and allergenicity. So genetic engineering can introduce new proteins to a food that have not been part of the human diet, while regulating agencies test for known allergens. A naturopathic viewpoint suggests that these novel proteins could potentially trigger an immune response or allergic reaction in sensitive individuals, even if they don't test as a classic allergen. Okay. Now, I mentioned whole grains just a few minutes ago, those that include gluten. Gluten is a protein, and when it's been genetically modified, what they're doing is trying to get more gluten or a higher gluten content or protein because it makes it stick together more. That's what gives you the chewiness that you may like in baked goods. It's not healthy for us. It impacts the gut microbiome. So the gut microbiome is a critical component of natural health. And Dr. Wallach and pharmacist Ben and all the doctors that we have on here say there's two places that our immune system reside: in our gut and in our bone marrow. So if we're eating foods that impact our gut microbiome, the food is not getting broken down properly, nor are we able to push the food through the system, because we're damaging it. We're giving chemicals in the body that it's not supposed to be in the body. And we want to make sure that we don't disrupt that balance of beneficial bacteria in the gut. We disrupt that balance, we have inflammation and digestive issues. So what do we eat? That's a great question, isn't it? Let's prioritize on whole foods. A simple rule is to look for products with 5 ingredients or less. This usually says that there's minimal processing. And our naturopathic view is that the body best recognizes and utilizes nutrients from their natural whole food state. The closer the food is to its natural state, the more beneficial it is for your health. Consider a low sugar, low carbohydrate diet, ketogenic diet, where you are looking at the percentages of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, not in that order. So with the fats, you actually want to have a higher percentage of your calories coming from good fats. So what are some good fats? I don't have the chat open here, but what are some good fats? I'll go ahead and open it up and let's see how smart our people are. Good fats, come on. Butter, thank you. Avocados, yes. Olives, yes. Dairy, yes. Meat, ghee, yes. Keep them rolling. Fish, yes. Corey, yes. Eggs, absolutely. Nuts and seeds. I mean, think there's so many good things out there that we can eat that have those good fats with them. And many of those things also have the next thing, protein. So let's shoot for 10 to 20% of our total daily calorie intake of being protein. So we're looking for high fats, higher fats, the good fats. It doesn't mean fried chicken, even though it has protein. No, we want to avoid those foods that are cooked at high heats because they also change the molecular structure of the food. And we don't want to have that crispiness. Because what they found, even on the skins of baked potatoes, when they get exposed to high heat, become crispy, changes the structure, creates acrylamides, and acrylamides have been found to be cancer-causing agents. And then carbohydrates. We want to look at 5 to 10% of the total daily calories in carbohydrates. So what are some carbohydrates? Carbohydrates. Sugar, starches. There are vegetables that have carbohydrates, but there are some that are high in nutrition with a limited amount of carbohydrates. And it's not that we want to totally eliminate carbohydrates, because the body still needs carbohydrates, but not in the abundance that society has taught us to eat, nor the amount of food that society has programmed us to eat. So as we're looking at carbohydrates, we're looking at and going by a low carb, low sugar diet. We're looking at those carbohydrates coming from our vegetables. We've got the fruits that are low in sugar, are higher in fiber, so that it works out, so that you have the fiber to help to bring down the net carb value that's created by sugar. In your berries with fruit with fiber, excuse me, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, all of those are in moderation, can be eaten, where you're getting the phytonutrients, you're getting some vitamins and some minerals, depending on where they're growing, from your food with limited carbohydrates. Okay, because what did we learn a little bit ago? What do carbohydrates do? What does sugar do? Causes inflammation. It disrupts our gut biome. And we don't want that. And well, pharmacist Ben says inflammation is a good thing. It tells us there's something going on that we need to pay attention to. And if we're not looking at our diet, we've got inflammation going on, then we're not paying attention, folks. So as we're going through here, there's so much that we can do to help ourselves choose a better diet. So what are some healthy snacks? And I just mentioned a few of these that I like. I love avocado with sea salt. Just cut it open, shake some sea salt or Himalayan salt on there, and eat it. You're getting your good fats. You're getting omegas. You're getting the minerals from the sea salt. So we want to make sure that we are not depleting ourselves of the minerals no matter what food choices we make. And that's where using sea salt or Himalayan salt can be very beneficial because it's not been stripped of the natural minerals that occur in the area that the salt is actually naturally occurring. Olives. It doesn't matter if it's black or green, but they are a perfect low-carb food. They are high-fat snack also. You wouldn't think that looking at an olive, how is that high-fat? Well, it is. It's a good food that provides healthy monounsaturated fats. Eggs. So we want them on the soft side of hard-boiled, contrary to what some people say. We want to make sure that the yolks inside of the egg are still bright and not too dry. Eggs are like a cornerstone of both the keto diet and Dr. Wallach's philosophy and recommended foods, and they are a complete protein source that contains healthy fats. Now, nuts and seeds. That does not include peanuts, folks. Okay? But we're looking at macadamia nuts, pecans, almonds. They all can be a satisfying snack. They're low in carbs, they're higher in the good fats, and they have protein. And then celery with nut butter, or cream cheese. I mean, celery is pretty much a free food on most dietary intakes plans. And then you put it on there with some nut butter or cream cheese, you're getting some protein, but it doesn't have any, you want to make sure that what you're using or putting on it doesn't have any added sugar. Where celery is giving you some fiber, it's great as part of a detoxifying drink. You mix it in there. But these are just a few of the different options. And we've got some people writing in. So we've got, let's see. Yeah, Marilyn, you're right. You want to avoid the table salt. And I just said why you want to use sea salt or Himalayan salt is because it still has those naturally occurring minerals. It's not been stripped away from the sodium. Okay. And close to nature, fresh whole foods equals a vibrant you. So if we are eliminating foods that can be toxic to our body, whether it's toxic because it's an artificial chemical, whether it's toxic because it is causing inflammation or disrupting the gut biome, we're not going to be as vibrant as we possibly could be. And that's where we really want people to understand that there's things that you can do that help to pave that path to having better health, better wellness, and be able to function properly, because you're not only feeding your body, folks, you're feeding your brain. And as we mentioned with the food colorings, that can affect mental illness, mental capacity, both young and old. So I believe that if we shop and we shop smarter, somebody's going to get the hint, and we're going to get more food that is less processed and healthier for us and made available. And prices are even coming down on these foods as well. So there's a couple things also. This is the end of this presentation, but I wanted to touch on, excuse me while I do this, a few things that, and I actually have a conversation. We're going to have conversation. So if you can think of something that would be a beneficial addition into your diet that falls along with being fat, higher in fat, moderate protein, low in sugar, what are some things that you would be putting in your shopping cart, in your mouth? Marilyn?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. What is a complete protein?
Eggs. Eggs are a complete protein.
And what do you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
Well, so, that's a really good question. If you take an egg and it's been fertilized and you give it 27 days, if it's a chicken, it will develop into a living, breathing being with skin, with bones, with a beak, with eyes, with all of the components that are needed for digestion, the heart. It can walk. That's what's a complete a protein.
You know how
something that
you know how sometimes vegetarians will say, if I eat rice and beans, like pinto beans, they're getting a complete protein. Have you ever heard that?
You're missing on a lot of things. So I was reading yesterday where they're saying that all protein comes from plants. And that's incorrect, because there's a lot of protein, also known as amino acids, that are found in meat. And I'm coming from not only a naturopathic view, but also like the herbalist side of me, where we would use like to quote unquote cure like. So as a human being, we have muscle, or we want to have muscle, and we're not feeding the body muscle, protein, amino acids. We're not going to have as much as what we could. And I know a lot of fat, skinny people where they have very little muscle. And it does have to do with protein intake and the types of protein that you take.
Yeah, I know Ben has said that the animals are more anabolic, growing muscle, as opposed to a plant protein.
Say that one more time.
Ben has said that animal protein is more anabolic than plant protein. So in agreement with what you're saying.
Yeah, the body can process it better. And the body is designed for it. In the Bible, and this slideshow could have been 50 slides long if I would have gone where I really had time to go. It goes through, and in the Old Testament, especially in the garden, we were eating the fruits and the vegetables, the things that grew in the garden. They were thrown out of the garden. And then they started to have to farm and hunt for food, which then brought in some of the animals. But in the New Testament, they're eating fish, they're eating lamb, they're eating beef. The cloven hoof that the animals chew their cud. Those are the ones that they say are clean animals that are okay for us to eat. It says it in the Old Testament and New Testament, actually. So personally, I don't think that we have to eliminate all animals, and that it's not as healthy as we can be if we do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And AJ.
Yeah, just to clarify, a complete protein is a protein that has all 9 essential amino acids in there.
Which the human body cannot produce on its own. So there are some that can, but a whole protein includes those that we cannot. So the common complete protein sources, the animal products like meat, protein, fish, eggs, dairy, as well as some plant-based options. Some of the healthier proteins you're looking at quinoa, soybean. But again, you need to really pay attention to your soy protein source, because tofu, which comes from soybean, soybean and corn are two of the most genetically modified crops in the United States. So we want to make sure that we're not getting those genetically modified foods going into our body. And for those with a vegetarian or vegan diet, combining the different incomplete plants like the grains and legumes throughout the day can get you closer to having a more complete amino profile.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? And I need to scroll down here. Yeah.
I have a question. When the whole grain, so you said it will always say 100% on the label? If it's a whole grain,
No.
100%?
So there are, well, you do want to look for 100% whole grain if you're looking for a whole grain product. Otherwise, if it's made with whole grains, you may just have, a small portion of whole grains in that product. Okay. But again, especially for those of us that are having digestive issues or any health problem, if our digestive system is messed up and damaged because of something like gluten, we're not going to get the absorption that the body needs of the nutrients to be able to thrive. So let's talk about some of the things that are most common as we age. We're looking at bone and joint issues. That can be directly linked to a digestive issue as well, because the body cannot absorb the nutrients that you're taking if you're getting them all in because of the damage within the digestive system. Okay, so you're not getting the calcium, magnesium, the zinc, the manganese, the phosphorus, the boron that is needed to have strong, healthy bone and joints. Or the collagen. That's another one. Collagen helps to support the connective tissue. Okay. A lot of collagen on the market focuses on one type of collagen. So whether it's from chicken cartilages, whether it's from the egg membrane, whether it's from some of the things you don't even want to think about. But our body, without having a proper enzyme to break that down, isn't going to use the collagen the way you're expecting it to be used. So you definitely want to make sure that you're paying attention to the collagen sources and your supplement sources, making sure that you're getting quality products going in, because if you got garbage going in, you can't expect to have a quality lifestyle coming out. Okay. What else? I'm going through here through the comments. Albert's asking, how safe are rice cakes in general to eat? Well, rice, Dr. Wallach has on the good foods, bad foods list as being a good food. It is a carbohydrate. So depending on what your body's needs are, you may need to limit carbohydrates, because carbohydrates can, especially simple carbohydrates, can convert into sugar, which then sugar is a large molecule. It can cause damage throughout the tiny little blood vessels going through your kidneys, through your eyes, through your toes, the fingers. But it also causes inflammation beyond that. So we do want to make sure that we are mindful of the rice. Now I know with food combining, you can have rice with other vegetables like sweet peas, and it turns one of them into a protein and reduces your carbohydrate intake, or at least how the body reacts to it. And, you know, there's so many things as we're looking at the label. You've got the organic sticker. You've got non-GMO that you want to look for. And like we've said on the show before, organic does not always mean more nutritious. They may use a safer form of pesticide or herbicide, or a more natural way of growing things. But again, it does not does not mean that it's more nutritious, especially with the depletion of minerals in the soils of where our food are grown. So the safest thing is to grow your own vegetables and fruit, and you eat with whatever's in season. Not easy for everybody to do. Takes some time, takes some talent, but it's definitely something that is possibly one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself. Marilyn asked, what do I think about potassium sulfate? I do not have an educated, straightforward opinion on potassium sulfate. It's actually one of the dirty dozen things that you want to avoid, but I wasn't able to get enough information as to why. So it is added into the food as a preservative, but specifically what that preservative does within the body, I did not have the information for. So I didn't include that one. But that's a great question, great observation as it being in food. So what are we going to be looking for? Whole foods. Shop around the outside of your store. Go for your fruits and vegetables, your things with vibrant colors. That's where you're going to get your phytonutrients from those and antioxidants from those bright colored foods. As you're going through and you're looking for meat, you do want to look for grass-fed, not finished with corn. Because like I said, corn has been genetically modified in most cases. Yes, as a farm kid, when we finished animals off with corn, it did add more marbling. But with the effects of corn, what it can do, especially when it's been genetically modified, I have seen some reports that when given to mice in the lab, they develop cancerous tumors. Not something I want to do or eat, even in the beef that I'm eating. So grass-fed. Also with your chickens, go for pasture free or pasture raised, because at least one, they're getting some sunshine. Two, they're getting out and getting some exercise. They're looking for bugs. They're eating. Did you know the bugs are protein? Not a protein I want to eat, but hey, let's let the chickens eat them and do all of our pest control for us so that we can eat healthy chicken and eggs. Yes, we're looking for pasture raised. Now, when we're looking at dairy is something that a lot of people, because of digestive issues, are not able to tolerate very well. So there are other alternatives to dairy, like milk, half and half, whole, you know, those that's dairy. Other alternatives could include almond milk, coconut milk, soy milk, hazelnut milk, pecan milk, hemp seed milk. Make sure that you read that ingredients label. Now, as you're looking at the nutritional panel part of it, yes, you do want to have lower in sugar. You don't want to have a whole lot of carbohydrates. But those numbers are not going to tell you anything about what's been chemically added that could be detrimental to your health Okay. Well, folks, that is what I have for us today. We've got a few minutes. I did not go over, which I was trying not to go over. And I just want to remind you that, folks, if you were referred to this program, get back with them. If you were not referred to this program by anybody specific and you would like to connect with myself or a certified holistic health coach, you're not working with somebody already. And, you know, even if you are working with a lot of people, but you want to have more options whenever you're working with your clientele, you know, adding in a quality nutritional supplement program could be a missing link to your practice or business as an alternative medical practitioner, or even as in the part of the medical matrix. I have more and more friends that are wanting to come over and learn more about nutrition, because they're finding that as they give their clients or their patients a pharmaceutical, they have to give them another pharmaceutical because of the side effects of one, whether it's just a small side effect or causing damage within the body to one of the organs. So we welcome everyone to be part of something that is reaching around the world, helping people not just survive, but actually thrive, and doing it through nutrition, mindset, both for our physical and our financial well-being. There is a program that you are more than welcome to take part in, and that is the Certified Holistic Health Coach that's offered by the Institute of Holistic Health, where they teach about Dr. Wallach's research, how each of the 4 areas of health are affected by nutritional deficiencies. And when you've got 90 essential nutrients, which is what Dr. Wallach found to be the minimum to sustain life, and you've got at least 10 different poor health conditions associated with each one of those, you do the math, that's 900 poor health conditions that are nutritional deficiencies. So are you experiencing one of these? I'm here to say you don't have to be. So there is a lot of things that we can do on our own. Part of being a certified holistic health coach does not mean that you have your own coaching practice. You can use it for your own knowledge to help yourself, your family. You can find out more about the coaching program by going to coach.dailywithdoc.com. So thank you, Bruce. He's so sweet. So Bruce put in the chat, the special speaker today is awesome. Please come back soon. Aw, that makes me, okay. Folks, thank you so much again for joining us here on Daily with Doc. If I could get my co-hosts up, and AJ's raising his hand. He might be reminding us that tomorrow we have Dr. Joanne Conway on with us.
Well, I was actually going to say that if you want a copy of the presentation that Becca just put together, you can send, or you can go to, but you got to go in 20 minutes. You can't go right now because I need 10 minutes to put it together. But I mean, as if Becca wants to share her presentation. You want to share your presentation?
And give me about 20 minutes to make some modifications so that it's shareable.
Okay, so if you go to the website, which is not ready yet, so you got to go in about a half an hour to. Why don't you pick a subdomain, Becca?
Oh, how about foodchoices.dailywithdoc.com.
All right, so you go to foodchoices.dailywithdoc.com in about an hour. and you will be able to get this presentation, which was very informative, and thank you very much, Becca.
Oh, you're welcome, AJ. Thank you so much for offering to put that up for us. And that's the nice thing about being part of a team, is you don't have to do everything. You don't even have to think of everything all on your own. As we work together, we're hitting all the bases and making sure that people are getting the information they need, not just to survive, but actually thrive. Now, part of our team that we have with us today, we have Sherry, who is on the tech crew. She helps to get things set up and push the stream so that you can watch it over and over again on your favorite platform, or listen to it, whether you watched it live or listened to it live, or it'll be here indefinitely until we take it down. And we'll see how that goes. So thank you so much, Sherry, for what you do. We have Albert letting people in. Thank you, Albert, for being our gatekeeper today. Joining us from South Africa. So folks, if you're a night owl and you call in the middle of the United States night, you might get Albert, as he is part of our phone team as well. So is Sherry, so is Marilyn, so is AJ, and a couple others too. Speaking of Marilyn, you did a fantastic job, Marilyn, putting things into the chat today, so that people can take notes. I appreciate you and all you do. And AJ, for all you do with the website, with getting us set up on all these different platforms, helping me remember not to forget anything, and everything else that you do as our digital marketing manager. Thank you. And to all of you, you just invested an hour into yourself, where we can have all the money in the world, but if we're sick and can't enjoy it, what's it worth? So we encourage you not only to have financial wealth, but also to have physical wealth, so you can enjoy your families and be able to enjoy this big wide world that we live in, with so many things to do. So again, this program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where we have links to articles to help you get more information to put in your toolbox about natural health and wellness. We have links to previous programming. We have a store with Dr. Wallach's we have a store with Dr. Wallach's programs for supplementation. And if you're just getting started and you're not working with somebody, again, if you're working with somebody, get back with them. But if you're just getting started, one of the best places to start, especially if you just have you've got good health. Healthy Body Start Pack, not the On the Go pack. I mean, that's for if you're traveling. I use that when I'm traveling. But the Healthy Body Start Pack is a great place to start. Now, if you already have some concerns going on with your heart, your brain, your kidneys, liver, all those soft tissue things, there's the Brain and Heart Pack. Make sure you throw in a bottle of Sweet Ease. If you've got digestive issues, you want to just focus on the digestive issues, the nice thing about it is it also includes a Healthy Body Pack with the digestion aids, so that we get better absorption and give the digestive system what it needs to start its journey to a better health story. But it also helps the whole entire body, because the body starts to absorb more and starts putting the nutrients where they're needed and where they belong. Or if you want to do bone and joint pack, we do have the bone and joint pack with the CM cream, the glucogel, one of my favorites, where you're supporting the connective tissue, and it's just touching, giving you some of the basics, folks, to help you get on that better health journey path. So until next time, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to get in contact with a certified holistic health coach, 855-949-3377. Again, that's 855-949-3377. 3377. Bye for now. Oh, wait. AJ, what?
Dr. Joanne Conaway?
I did say it once or twice.
Oh, she did
Tomorrow we
say it.
have Dr. Joanne Conway. I'm super excited because, you know, Dr. Conway is like the digestion queen when it comes to helping us get our digestion right. And tomorrow, let me see real quick what we're going to be talking about. Children's health and digestion. So folks, whether you've got young ones yourself, you're getting ready to have young ones, you've got grandkids, tomorrow's show is for you with my dear friend, Dr. Joanne Conway. So now can I say goodbye? All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day. Bye for now. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the